I need more money for child support. Woman sues husband. It all started on a quiet Tuesday morning. David Evans, a hardworking man in his late 30s, had just finished his night shift at the local factory. Exhausted but determined, he headed to his modest apartment, thinking about his upcoming wedding to his fiancée, Clara. Life hadn't been easy for David, but he had always managed to keep his head above water. Since his separation from his ex-wife, Lisa, he'd been paying her $1,200 every month to support her and their unborn child. He never complained about it. It was his responsibility, and he took it seriously. But on this particular day, David's world came crashing down. It all began with a knock at the door. When David opened it, he was met by two stern-faced police officers. Before he could even ask what was happening, they informed him that he was under arrest for domestic abuse. Confused and frightened, David tried to explain that there must be some mistake. He had never laid a hand on anyone, but his protests fell on deaf ears as they handcuffed him and took him away. The accusation came from Lisa. She claimed David had been threatening her and had even physically harmed her during one of their recent arguments. It was a devastating blow. David had always done everything he could to keep things civil between them, even when Lisa's demands grew increasingly unreasonable. He never raised his voice, let alone his hand. Still, the allegations were serious, and he found himself sitting in a holding cell, wondering how his life had spiraled out of control. What David didn't know was that Lisa had been struggling with her own emotions. She had recently discovered that David was engaged to Clara, and jealousy consumed her. Despite having a new boyfriend herself, the thought of David moving on, building a new life, and finding happiness without her was too much for Lisa to bear. She wanted to hurt him, to remind him that he still had responsibilities, to her, to their unborn child, and to the life they once shared. In court, the tension was palpable. The courtroom was packed with people eager to hear the shocking details of the case. Lisa took the stand first, recounting her version of events with tears streaming down her face. She painted a picture of a man who had abandoned her, leaving her to fend for herself while he lavished his new fiancée with gifts and attention. She claimed that $1,200 a month wasn't nearly enough to support her and the baby, and that she had been forced to confront David about it, which led to the alleged abuse. David's lawyer presented a very different story. He shared evidence of David's unwavering financial support since the separation, including bank statements and text messages showing David's consistent efforts to ensure Lisa was taken care of. Witnesses, including neighbors and colleagues, testified to David's character, describing him as a kind, honest, and hardworking man who would never harm anyone. The turning point came when the judge, an experienced and compassionate man named Judge Carter, addressed Lisa directly. His voice was firm but gentle as he said, "Miss Evans, I've listened carefully to your testimony and reviewed the evidence. While I understand the challenges you're facing, it's clear to me that Mr. Evans has fulfilled his obligations as a father and more. The accusations you've made against him are not supported by the evidence." Lisa's tears continued to fall, but now they were mixed with shame. Judge Carter wasn't finished. Raising a child is not the responsibility of one parent alone. It requires partnership, even when that partnership looks different after a separation. You have a new partner, and it's time for you to step up as well. Mr. Evans should not be penalized for moving on with his life while still honoring his commitments. Then, turning to David, the judge's tone softened. "Mr. Evans, you've demonstrated remarkable integrity in a difficult situation. My advice to you is to continue supporting your child in a way that's sustainable for you, but you are not obligated to do more than what you can reasonably afford. Your responsibility is to your child, not to carrying the burdens of an ex-partner who is unwilling to take accountability for her own life." The room was silent except for the quiet sobbing of Lisa. Judge Carter's words hung in the air, a poignant reminder of the importance of fairness, compassion, and personal responsibility. The case was dismissed, and David was free to go. As he walked out of the courtroom, Clara was waiting for him, her eyes filled with relief and love. David felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he also knew he wasn't alone. He had Clara by his side, and he had the clarity of knowing he had done the right thing, even when it wasn't easy. The story of David Evans is a powerful reminder that justice isn't just about punishment. It's about truth, understanding, and balance. It's about standing up for what's right, even when the odds seem stacked against you. And it's about recognizing that fairness is a two-way street. In the end, the truth prevailed, and David walked away with his dignity intact, ready to build a better future. If you've read this far, comment which country you're reading from and leave 100 points in the comment section because you're the type of person who likes to finish what they start. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated whenever we drop new stories.